For several years, David has been hiding from King Saul for fear that he was going to kill him. At this time in the scripture, he is coming near the end of his fleeing from Saul and about to take the throne in Hebron. Let's read about it in 2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had stayed 2 days in Ziklag, on the third day, behold, it happened that a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. So it was when he came to David that he fell on the ground and prostrated himself. And David said to him, Where have you come from? So he said to him, I have escaped from the camp of Israel. Then David said to him, How did the matter go? Please tell me. And he answered, The people have fled from the battle. Many of the people are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. So David said to the young man who told him, How do you know that Saul and Jonathan his son are dead? Then the young man who told him said, As I happened by chance to be on Mount Gilboa, there was Saul leaning on his spear, and indeed the chariots and the horsemen followed hard after him. Now when he looked behind him, he saw me and called to me, and I answered, Here I am. And he said to me, Who are you? So I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said to me again, Please stand over me and kill me, for anguish has come upon me, but my life still remains in me. So I stood over him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and I brought them here to my Lord. And now, here is Arie to tell us more about this incident in the life of David and of King Saul.
So we are back in Ziklag. David just arrived from beating the Amalekites. Maybe it took him, immediately started to repair the buildings, painting the stones, the burned city. And it passed 2 days later when a stranger knocked on the door. Who are you? Where you're coming? David was very, very curious about this one that came. And the man said that he left the bottle. So David wanted to know more details, and the man said that I was there. And he explained David all what happened. And he said it is so Saul. And Saul was already half dead. And Saul looked behind him and saw this Amalekite, and he asked him, Please kill me. And he said, I went to him and I helped him to die. Now, Saul asked him a question which is very important. Who are you? And what this man said, I am Amalekite. Let us remember that before we read that Saul asked his helper to kill him, and his helper didn't want to do it. Because for a Jew to help to kill somebody, it's like helping him make suicide. He will never do it. But when he asked the other one in the back, and he said, I am Amalekite, if he's Amalekite, of course, is not a Jew, he can do it. And that's what he did. He went, he killed him. He took from him the crown, he took from him also some bracelets or something like this. And what he did, immediately he left the battle area and made his way to Ziklag, where David was. David asked him very, very clear questions. How you know what happened there? And when he told him all what happened, he asked him again, Tell me, who are you? Now the man said, Before that I am Amalekite, right? No, David is asking again, Tell me, who are you? And this time, the man says something else. I am a son of a lion. of a stranger that was Amalekite. What is the meaning of this? That he is telling truth, he's not Amalekite anymore. Because you know, the moment somebody made a line with Israel, he becomes Israel. And if he was Israel, he had no permission to touch Saul and to kill him, of course. And then David said to him, your mouth said clearly, and gave an order, as we will see, to kill him. Now, there are many, many questions around this, what happened here. But we don't know everything. But we know that there is something very important that happened here. And I want to draw it to help understanding by a kind of a drawing. And this drawing will show us something very, very special that happened here. For this drawing, I need to put some points. This point represents the city of Afek. I write it with AF. This is where the Philistines' army gathered. This point, I write it with Z and K. This point, the place of Ziklag, where David was stationed here. And this point here shows SH, Shunem, where the Philistines will arrive later on. Let us see now what happens. David made his way with the other Philistines to Afek, to the battle area. And after they didn't accept him, he went all the way back to his city, Ziklag. When he arrived there, you remember what happened? He found that the Amalekites robbed him. He arrived to the Besor, I do it BS, and then later he met the Amalekites here and was beating them, as we read last time, all the day, from night all the day to the next evening. Let us now look with the blue color about Saul. Saul was here in Shunem. Near Shunem, it's a place called Ein Jezreel. When he saw the Philistines arriving to Shunem, he was very afraid and he ran to Mount Gilboa, I write it Mount MG. And then they moved, the Philistines, they moved to Ein Jezreel, and he was so scared, he went to Ein Dor, ED. This is the place where the witchcraft was. Now look on these graphs. On the same night that Saul was in Endor, meeting the witchcraft, on the same night, David is arriving to Amalekites and beats them. The next day, we know what happened. The witchcraft told him, tomorrow you and all your family with me. And on the next time he came back to Mount Megiddo, and what happened? An Amalekite killed him. Think about this. Amalekite man killed him. What happened here? At the same time, David is killing the Amalekite. Now, by accident, when David asked the Amalekites, boy, what did you do there in Mount Gilboa? It happened that I was there. Maybe maybe it was true, but it seems very, very strange. It happened. It happened. If it really happened, it's one of the most tragic endings. The same time again, when Amalekite young boy is killing the king of Israel and takes away his crown, at the same time David is beating the Amalekite. Now the Amalekite made 2 days trips, And the Bible is very exact about the timing of all this story. And he made all the way to Ziklag. And the Bible says that David was already there 2 days. And on the third day, the Amalekites arrived. The Amalekite tells David all what happened. And David blamed him. How you did or you dared to kill the king of Israel. Scholars are talking a lot about this. How David knew who he was. What was the suspicious? Let's remember very shortly, I don't want to go too much on this, but let's remember that the Amalekites, they were living from robbing, from stealing. Now David also robbed them before, several chapters before we read about it. So when they came to Ziklag, they knew very well that David will not be there. They knew. That's why they took they plotted the place and even burned it. But what is Amalekite man doing behind Saul? Very suspicious. He was looking around to see when the king will be killed in order to take the most important. Why? Because he did it in the evening. When the Philistines themselves arrived, it's written, Lemacharat. Only on the next morning, they came and they found Saul and his son. So one of the characters of the Amalekites, to rob even dead bodies, to take spoil. David didn't like this at all. And he was so right when he said, your mouth said who you are. How did you dare to kill the anointed one, King of Israel?